All right, welcome to our Dear White People segment. Like last night in America was like Roots in the 70s. Everybody black was tuned in to NBC to watch The Wiz, except this person. He wasn't at church or Bible study, wasn't at a Black Power meeting, so I don't know what the hell he was doing last night, but he didn't even DVR The Wiz. Nope. His black card is under review right now. All right, y'all.
No.
So here's what happened yesterday. So before The Wiz came on, all of a sudden, Twitter blows up because you had some white folks in America who just went crazy about the all-black cast. Look at some of these tweets right here. First off, Evan, at MJTM. I just learned there's a black version of Wizard of Oz called The Wiz. How is that not racist? The next tweet, come on, y'all. Come on, move. Melly, can you imagine the outrage if a show advertised an all-white cast? But The Wiz Live is getting praised for having an all-black cast.
It's called Birth of a Nation.
Next tweet, Nick Capral. Dude, there's a live show of The Wizard of Oz called The Wiz, and it's an all-black cast. If it was all-white, that would be outrage. Next. Minorities act like they're the victims, but can you imagine if we made an all-white version of The Wiz? Next.
The Wizard of Oz.
Why are we covering up their names? It don't matter their pictures. Twitter is public. All right, the next one. All the main stars of The Wiz musical are African American. Nothing wrong with that, but if it was all white, everyone start calling it racist. Hey, y'all, let me help y'all out. There's a movie called The Wizard of Oz. Ain't no black people in it. You know what?
Even the Munchkins weren't black.
Right. There are television shows on ABC and NBC and CBS. There are no black people in it. You didn't see black people in Friends in New York. And New York has the highest concentration of black people in America. See, this is why this is funny. It's because you have folks who are living in this totally alternate universe. Because what's really happening is that as America is changing, as America is becoming more minority, there are some white people in America, some, I didn't say all, some, not my good white folks here at my show, but some, who don't understand that there's an alternate reality out there. Spike Lee, who got his honorary Oscar, the Governor's Awards, a couple of weeks ago, he actually addressed this issue from the podium. Spike?
We need to have some serious discussion about diversity and get some flavor up in this. This industry is so behind sports, it's ridiculous. It's easier to be the President of the United States as a black person than be the head of studio. Honest. It's easier to be the President of the United States than to be head of a studio or head of a network.
In the history of Hollywood, no African American has ever run a studio. You got a black president and black Fortune 500 CEOs, but we can't run a studio in Hollywood. In fact, you don't have a single African American with the power in Hollywood today to literally greenlight a film. In that same speech, Spike said when he goes into a movie studio, only black person he sees is the brother who signs him in the security desk. Now, earlier this year, Chris Rock, he wrote a piece, cover story in the Hollywood Reporter, calling out Tinseltown, and he said, let's be honest, Hollywood is white. Quote, you're telling me no Mexicans are qualified to do anything at a studio? Really? Nothing but mop up? What are the odds that that's true? He also said, if Kevin Hart is playing 40,000 seats in a night and Jon Stewart is playing 3,000, the fact that Jon Stewart's 3,000 are white means Kevin has to cross over? That makes no sense. Here's the reality. The Hollywood Reporter had to face it later. Remember earlier this month or last month when they had this group who were likely going to win Oscars? Let me show you what it looked like. We don't have it? Y'all, wasn't nobody who looked like us in that photo. It made no sense whatsoever. The reality is this. All these people who on Twitter who lost their mind, what they don't understand is, guess what? There's a different world out there. And that world is, you know what? It literally has been white America. You don't like it. I'm just being honest about it. And so all of a sudden, They see television commercials and promos, and they see all black people, and they go, oh my God, what's going on? They're taking over. When all they have to do is turn to the show that came on after The Wiz, your local news. You probably didn't see many black people. Oh, keep it on NBC. The host of The Late Show? No. The host of the show after The Late Show? No. Flip over to ABC. No black host. Go to CBS. No black host. You got to go to Comedy Central to find two brothers. But skip last night. Watch tonight. And tomorrow night. And the night after that. And Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. We got to wait till Scandal comes back on in February to see some black people. The fact of the matter is, what we have in America are folks who are living in denial, and all of a sudden, they're a little upset because they saw a splash of color in essentially what is a white canvas. David Swirlick, Joe Jefferson Nuri, William Leon.
Well, it's interesting to listen to Spike's point about it's easier to be president than to be head of a studio, because it's the head of the studio that creates the narrative that Reverend so-called Jackson kept talking about. This narrative, he's watching the wrong channel, because again, the narrative that so many people are subscribing to is created by this white Hollywood.
I think what I loved most about Joseph
It's so-called liberal Hollywood.
So-called liberal Hollywood.
What I loved most about Joseph Papp, who was a big Broadway producer years ago and has now left the planet, is that he didn't think that white people owned cultural pieces. And he would cast Samuel Jackson as Hamlet, and he would cast Viola Davis in parts that would be going to young blonde people. And I think that so often we think that white people own certain cultural things, like The Wiz. We all sat and watched Judy Garland Love It every single year, and we never think that looks like white ownership of that story. And what The Wiz did, and for those of you who are upset, The Wiz was on Broadway in the 1990s, and it's already been a movie.
Won 7 Tony Awards.
They won 7 Tony Awards. Just don't get surprised, because it's been around 25 years. What The Wiz did is that my children, my black children, get to own that story. That story doesn't belong to one race.
Yeah, two quick points just in addition to that. One would be that I actually think folks are entirely too sensitive about who is playing roles at this stage of the game. As you pointed out, Roland, there is a white Wiz. It's called the Wizard of Oz.
Except in the case of that movie where the director just apologized, where they had all of these white actors playing Egyptians.
Right.
No, absolutely, and that is a twisting of history. But I'm saying even the situation a few weeks ago that was reported out where there was a white actor playing Martin Luther King in a college play,
yeah.
I have no problem with that if the actor can convincingly play Martin Luther King.
It's going to be a little hard, though.
Okay, but my second point, with regard to my non-viewage of The Wiz.
No, go ahead.
I am proud to have been called out by the Roland Martin Drop Squad today. That